what I've done is set up an account on minds.com to say whatever I want to say about Morrison. Because I'm only talking about Morrison, right? And I'm only talking about his Christian religion. So that I've been banned on Facebook might just be community standards, but I suspect Morrison's involved. I suspect he realizes that I'm doing an ontological and psychological profile of him and his party, and how that party expresses right-wing, despotic, murderous, colonial policy.
So today, when I get home, I'm gonna I'll have to call them, stuff like that.
It won't let you do a new account. We'll use this threat of Muslims, like America, because most black people in America, not most black people, but a lot of black people are Muslim, right? So they can justify imprisoning all these Uyghur Muslims, saying they're a threat. And I hope so, too.
So what's been happening?
So 6 months. So I've just I've just set up an account with a company called Minds.com, and it's an open source Facebook platform. So it means that you can say anything. If you want to have hate speech, you can say hate speech. If you want to have dialogues regarding whatever, you can have those dialogues. Facebook has banned me from saying anything. I can't post, I can't even like something. I can't buy something on Facebook. They've completely banned me from all communication other than saying to people up on Facebook Messenger. So Minds.com is an open source in that they can't take all your information and use it and sell it like Facebook did with Cambridge Analytica, and create a psychological profile on you to see how you can be manipulated, or the best possible way to manipulate you. So Facebook has all these standards which are completely hypocritical, because they're saying you can't say this and you can't say that, but they'll brainwash us to put right-wing evil despots in power, like Duterte in the Philippines. What they did in Trinidad is caused young people to not vote so that they could get the right wing in. Here they've got trolls. Morrison's got trolls on Facebook pushing particular. And if I look like an arsehole, thoughtful. I can do that. I'm an expert at being an arsehole, pal. The burden of experience can leave a lasting experience. I can remember my first confession. Maternity. Why do you rush toward maternity and check your dark acid with frequently fatal grounds? The future of the roses has arrived. The time of the net and the line. The soft petitions of the leaves wildly nourish. I'm going to sneeze. Created massive prison systems, put all the Uyghur Muslims in there, and then he gets poor people. So I break down what Dutton's doing, what Christian Porter's doing, what Fraser Manning's doing, what their clone Abiy Yemeni is doing, and what Morrison is doing. And what's happened is I've been banned from talking. Now, we know that this happens because the algorithms that Google and YouTube have created steer people towards right-wing
Yeah.
How does it look? Sorry.
Good actually.
Is that for the podcast or the...
I've done the podcast. I think
that's right. I was listening to it yesterday. So I've been banned completely from Facebook for a month. So it's happened over a number of times. They'll say, I'm sure if there was a news report, they'd say, well, Andre said this and Andre said that. Do you have sugar?
No sugar, thanks.
And you just want a little cold at the top? Or
Yeah, that's fine.
just want me doing shit like this as you do?
You can at first. We got other stuff to do.
Oh, spectacular.
A brief guide to Alcoholics Anonymous.
But what they have done is they've put despots in control that push capitalism and push fundamentalist Christianity, and to the point where President Duterte in the Philippines has killed a minimum of 7,000 people due to a drug epidemic. So you'll notice, like, in manga, bestiality is often promoted. So if you watch manga, Japanese manga, which means, or hentai, the translation of Japanese manga is, or hentai, sorry, is depraved, right? So a lot of Japanese cartoons, if you watch them, it's bestiality all the way through it. And this was one thing that I noticed in 2000 AD. So you look at this chick, she's fucking lush. So it's like she's about to be raped by a fucking demon, right? Which is where pornography has gone now. We have an exponential increase in bestiality, sex with semi-animals. I don't even know what you call them, half cat, half female. Anyway, it's all where it says 1987. So what we see is a complete hypocrisy. They only want you to say what they want you to say. And the algorithms express that. So Google's in on it and YouTube's in on it. So all of our content is getting less traffic because the content is a threat to capitalism. So Google, YouTube, Facebook are all maintaining particular narratives in order to maintain capitalism. Xi Jinping is doing.
So I started editing the movie we did on Monday, yesterday. I started editing, yeah. Organised. I've developed a new editing.
Are you filming?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
It's
You
alright.
started editing on Monday and you developed. Puts on his paperwork that he's of the Communist Party and earns $22,000 a year. Xi Jinping's children go to Yale and he pays for it. Where's the money coming from? So the man's talking about fighting corruption, which he may be doing, but he's corrupt also. So what we see is a full right-wing elite bunch of control freaks that require to control what we think, what we do. They've privatized our private experience, and they're using our private experiences to manipulate us. So that's why I've gone on to minds.com, and then what I do. So I go on the Trump sites and I look at what I suspect Breitbart and CIA, what narratives they're pushing, which are confined and conflated to shallow analysis of what's going on in order to get people that are miseducated, misinformed into the clan, right? And have them see the four women. agents or spies, or they're Muslim and they're black, so they're the devil, right? So they're pushing this crap all through Facebook and all through these right-wingers have every right to have hate speech, but we should be able to deconstruct what they say and look at what drives this hatred.
Yeah.
Right-wing capitalism, what drives fundamentalist Christianity. And one of the things that I saw this morning is that Morrison, the reason Morrison loves that church is because it's protecting capitalism. Today, this end of times apocalyptic story. So Morrison is actually using that religion to protect capitalism, maintain sin. So his measure for progressive, like, well, you know, like I keep seeing this, there's this new narrative that keeps popping up more and more on Facebook, like, if people deny that the Holocaust happened, they should be imprisoned. Why? Right? If they're so stupid that they think the Holocaust didn't happen, why would you imprison someone for that? That's like saying, if you don't believe, I don't know, if you believe Santa Claus is real, you should be imprisoned. You are sin, and even though you've accepted Jesus into your heart, you're still sin. So Jesus' atonement, all it's done is all it means is that you can go to heaven. But what the church doesn't say is, fight for women's rights, fight for equal pay, fight for the return of resources and the theft of land by Christian and non-Christian white colonial politicians. It doesn't say fight for a fair wage. All it says is make sure abortion doesn't happen, so you feel like you're doing something good, but don't do anything else, just praise Jesus. So the religion itself protects capitalism, because it's saying don't call the pastors to account who have sex with children. Don't call the politicians who are lying and stealing the taxes, right? So when Morrison's in that church, what he's actually doing, and why he wants chaplains in schools, not only to rape kids, but to get the kids proselytized into a religion that says do nothing. Karl Marx, the famous quote is, religion is the opiate of the people. So he's saying to kids, the world is falling apart. End times is here. We have to maintain this system because it will make Jesus come back quicker. So this sociopathic, psychotic policy. Yeah, well, I think that's part of an addict's.
Yeah.
When you stop though, it's bizarre. Like I stopped coffee for a few weeks. It's like free. Looking like, well, we're protecting people from racism, but then you can't, like, for example, we're not allowed to talk about Christianity. Oh, well, you're not allowed to talk about other people's. 2000 AD, when I was a kid, I used to go to this hippie street, and the punks and the skateboarders in England used to read 2000 AD, and I thought they were super cool. So I wanted to read 2000 AD. It's funny, 2000 AD back then seemed like the future, like it would all be spaceships and look, it's 2020, and we can't even give people a minimum wage in America. That's how futuristic we've been. That's how far we've come. So anyway, this one is Nemesis. This is about the Spanish Inquisition, and they used all these freaky monsters to torture and maim people, and they're inspired by how the Catholic Church had used religion as a means to maintain their power structure and torture the fuck out of people. So they've got Torquemada, and Nemesis the Warlock, the Two Talk Armadas. It's basically about how twisted the Catholic Church were in torturing people. Attacks in China, unless they manufacture some. And then getting cheap. American corporations then get to have cheap labor for products that American corporations make, that then send them back to America so Americans can buy the product. You see how twisted the system is? So you got a bunch of atheists using the methodology of the colonial Christians. Caffeine. So if I'm, in the midst of writing an album, a revolutionary album, which deconstructs capitalism and looks at history from the black perspective, I try and I scan as much news as I possibly can, watch as many documentaries as I possibly can, normally on transatlantic productions, which are black, African American, and those of the diaspora, that break down the system. Then I try and, then when I write a piece, like one of the raps of creators, The Capitalist, I try and put elements of what I've read and researched all together, which is standard. So, thinking, lying, thieving Morrison. Fucking scumbag. Trump is running a pandemic response like a business with disastrous results.
Oh, here we go.
Check this out. Much has been said about Donald Trump's personality flaws and questionable policy obsessions have hampered America's response to the growing pandemic. His narcissism leaves him unable to consider anything but his own political fortunes. His racism makes him treat an international medical problem like a clash of civilizations and border control problem. His incuriosity makes him unable to digest new information and respond with flexibility, much less act with foresight to head off problems. Whole books could be and will likely be written about how the convergent moral failings of the president and his favourite conservative infotainment networks have contributed to a ruinously incompetent response to the burgeoning pandemic crisis. Wow.
What side's that?
That's Truth Dig. Truth Dig's awesome.
Dig or dig?
Truth Dig, D-I-G. That's where, if you want to learn, they just give a great breakdown.
Cool. So here's a thing called Anything Goes video. So just click on the search thing. Of course they do.
Sorry, of course they do what?
I don't like the new Reddit design. So that's what we did yesterday. Let's go another clip.
So you're telling me that that's where I should post?
Oh, that's one subreddit, yeah. Anything goes, yeah. Oh, I know what they're doing.
I won't remember it, dude, unless you send it to me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, it's all good.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Trump and the conservative media have treated the coronavirus as a PR problem, a political problem, and a business problem.
Yeah.
Friday's bizarre press conference was little more than an infomercial for some of the top health-related businesses in the Dow Jones average, with a parade of CEOs talking about their commitment to doing vague somethings about the pandemic right before the closing bell. It worked, at least for now. The Dow surged as a result. Policies are evil. Stealing, thieving, murdering First Nations, incarcerating First Nations, stealing the land, stealing our taxes. Then he goes into that church and says, well, I'm sick. Jesus. What's been happening since Monday?
No.
Does that give you a quick deconstruction, deconstructing the methodology of colonial Eurocentric Christianity in a 8-minute spiel? We're all right and left wing. People who think that they're not right wing is foolish, because that's a binary worldview. We all have the capacity to be evil. So that's how I do my research, and then listen to. Sometimes I get 6 or 7 newspapers and open them all up and see what are the narratives that Murdoch's crud and the propaganda machine are pushing. And then do comparative analytical studies on, well, what are they really saying here? What are they saying by not saying it? So, for example, the biggest narrative at the moment is about domestic violence. They keep going on about domestic violence, domestic violence, domestic violence. So that's been going on for the last 5 years. And we've got a weaponized, militarized police force, and yet domestic violence is, for some reason, going up. So I suspect these domestic violence stories are lies. I happen to think the domestic violence story of a Kiwi burning his wife and 3 children in a car is a lie. Simply because the story makes no sense, the narratives don't break down what was going on for this man's, emotional, psychological mind, what was happening. Why shouldn't you be allowed to talk about other people's religions? That religion has done. Yeah, he's just copying America. He's copying the prison system in America, which demonizes black men, and mostly men of colour, women of colour, and poor people. And that way they've got cheap labour, they have got no workers' rights, and they've got no union rights, they've got no holiday pay, no sick pay, no dental, no medical, right? That says, he was psychologically torturing her, I see that now. And then you've got, I have people online that troll me. So I had one guy say, I've got a friend of a friend that knew him and he was a sociopath. Well, he's got no criminal record. This Baxter character, you've seen this story? He's got no criminal record. There's no incidences of him beating her. There's no pictures of her with bruises. All we have than anything else. System designed to demonize somebody else whilst being the biggest criminal, which Xi Jinping also is. He's just copying America. Film of him play fighting with the kids, and they say this is child abuse, but the kids aren't actually bruised or beaten, they're laughing. But the narrative is, this guy used to beat his children. The next narrative that came out was his so-called cousin did an interview with the Daily Mail, and there's pictures of her drinking on a balcony. I'm like, is this a news story or is this propaganda? So his cousin says he was having sex with loads of women. Okay, So now they've said he's having sex with loads of women.
Right, when you're ready, mate.
So these were some of my favourites. The ABC one is atomic, bacterial, chemical, and they were machines that went through time portal, but they were badass. And this is when RoboCop came up. So all the future things that these are the original cyberpunks, really. 2000 AD. This is before cyberpunks were created. You know, Keanu Reeves is in the whole cyberpunk, PlayStation, John Wick, violence is really what it is. But I loved the ABC Warriors. They were the coolest things ever. He was depressed and was on drugs for his condition. But that's all it says. It doesn't say what his condition was, how he came to... So, dude, what do you want me to do?
Cool.
Is look at what are they saying and what are they not saying, and how does this help Morrison and capitalism and neo-fascism and Christianity? Countries saying we're here to save you from, right? Well, actually you do. Xi Jinping. I realise Xi Jinping is just doing...
That's
Do you want normal milk?
Yeah, it's fine. Is that the Chinese president?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the Chinese president. What he's done is, do you have sugar?
No sugar.
He knows that... tea. You feeling hospitable? You're in hospitality. So when you write, it uses different parts of your brain. So instead of just being on the computer, often I have a notebook with me or in my bag, and I write stuff, those thoughts that come and go quickly. So this is about the whole domestic violence dialogue, and it's to not have a conversation regarding the cause of domestic violence is to have a non-conversation. And all of those articles written by the right-wing media conglomerates don't have any conversation about cause. All they do is say men are bad. So it's a stupid narrative. It's confined the problem of domestic violence to men are bad. That's it. Morrison's created that. All of the media conglomerates are in on this scam, this lie. But to not have a conversation about gambling, alcohol, drug addiction, the extraction of wealth in poor communities, all of these things cause domestic. So to not have conversations or dialogue regarding the cause of domestic violence is to have a non-conversation. The story with the which I've posted on YouTube with his what's his, I can't remember his name, his first name, something Baxter. One of the things when I looked at all the stories, none of the stories have any depth to them. Even the interview with the mother and the family that says this man killed their daughter and 3 children or 2 children, there's no depth to the story. The reporting is shoddy. No psychologists have stepped forward and said this is the problem. Nobody from the state has offered some kind of explanation as to how you have a man who does all of this stuff and then it turns into him burning his kids and then stabbing himself with burn marks. Then they say in the story that a neighbour was there and ran down and put the wife out. So the wife got out of the car. This is also really weird, right? When you read the story, it says that he set her on fire with the kids in the car, and she got out of the car and ran for help. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be getting out of that car running for help. I'd be running back into the car and getting my kids out of the car. So again, the story's weird. It doesn't make any sense. There's no logic to it. The photos of this guy, Baxter, all are the same. In fact, some of them look like the ones with the police officer. They look like they're superimposed on a... That's how America created its wealth. That's how Europe created its wealth. That's how they became empires. They went into countries, say they bring in Jesus, and then enslaved my father's people, my African ancestors, and then said... Then the 13th Amendment came along and they abolished slavery, so then they created slavery via the prison system, the incarceration system, right? In the guise of we're here to maintain law and order, when in fact they're there to maintain free labour. Xi Jinping has done the same thing. What he's done is gone, fuck it, I know what to do. We'll use this Muslim threat as a means to justify putting all the Uyghur Muslims that have been Africans of the diaspora worldwide, because it looks from a black perspective at colonialism and how whites have used racism to steal and thieve. And she breaks it down to a genetic level. So some people have said, well, it's racist. You know, it's very quick that white people will say it's a racist book when the whole system of capitalism and Christianity is based on racism. So when it's turned around, it's defended. And then Asians have this thing called face. And face is when, to make the family look good, they won't publicly expose the lies. So what the Chinese are doing now is they've got to just lie. It's just lying, right? It's called face. It's like you've got to do it delicately, and it's a stupid practice. I have problems with my wife. She's Taiwanese. We have this. You've got to get. She's like, you've got to give me face. I said, I ain't giving you shit. You deal with it. If you're being an asshole, I've got to be nice about it. Yeah, well, that's a bit. It's a sophisticated. No, it's not. It's stupid. It's an obsolete practice. Get rid of it. Why can't we just have conversations? Talk about what an asshole I am. Suddenly she doesn't give me any face when it's about me, I'll tell you what. Anyhow. I don't like this coffee. You. Okie dokie. This pertains actually to the, it's called the ISIS Papers, The Keys to Colours, and it was done by a black psychologist in America called Dr. Francis Cress-Welsing. It's one of the most influential pieces together for black people, and it really made a difference to how I saw the matrix or the white patrix of colonialism. It's based on a matrilineal system that the universe is female, hence that's where we get matrix. A lot of words that begin with M pertain to motherhood. So if you look at the etymology and the history of M back to those pyramids, it looks at how woman is goddess. So this is Empire of Illusion by Chris Hedges, winner of the Pulitzer Prize, The End of Literacy and the Triumph of Spectacle. This is really looks at, as we move away from reading and print-based books, we move more towards narratives that are right-wing and reduce our faculty of critical analysis. It's Chris Hedges. I say to everybody, you got to read Chris Hedges. It's brilliant. This book is Michael Bradley, The Iceman Inheritance, where I get my name. Iceman Heretic, because I'm half white, and then I'm half African, if there be such a thing as mixed race. And this book looks at the prehistoric sources of Western man's racism, sexism and aggression. That is that Europe was resource scarce and creates a hoarding culture, survival of the fittest culture, and a god that is perceived, and a goddess. The goddess, Mother Nature, perceived as a slut, and the god is perceived as a fascist who is a jealous, vengeful god, right? So he looks at how those thoughts, those questions come into being as a function of a resource-scarce environment, which is created.
I know.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
So this is another book by Chris Hedges, author of War is a Force That Gives Us Meaning. This particular book is American Fascists, the Christian Right and the War on America. It's terrifying. And and Morrison and Dutton and Christian Porter are creating fascism through that church here. A binary world view where they're going to wrap that flag up in the Bible, demean everybody, demonize everybody, and then say, we're chosen, you're the devil, unless you join our clan. So this is another book by Chris Hedges, and I say to all Christians, you should read this. Read this?
No.
Now this, check it out. So this guy, the old Pope of the Catholic Church, sees he's. So they booted his ass out, but you can't retire as a Pope. So this is Naomi Klein. It's really strange. I went to the library and I saw them throwing all these books out. Now a lot of the books, when I looked at them, looked like they were left-wing narratives, but the books were being pushed out of the library. So censorship doesn't just happen by me getting banned from Facebook and using Alex Jones as, you can't say that, Alex, even though he's a hack, he's got freedom of speech, right? So how do you censor? Well, A, you might buy books from people like me and then say, we're not going to publish them, or we're not going to market them. Or, if they go into libraries, what do? You throw them out every few months or every year, and then have a right-wing agenda happening in our libraries, and then say, what are you talking about? It's a library, right? When what they're doing is sneaky. So I found this for $2, and it's Naomi Klein's This Changes Everything. To my venerable brother, Cardinal George Pell, Archbishop of Sydney, right? From the Vatican, 25th of July 2008. Now, Pell, Cardinal Pell, you know who he is, Archbishop Pell. All right, done enough? Into the finances of the Catholic Church, right? The finances are of the trope of lies justify that church. So Cardinal Pell, of course it turns out, it was obvious he was a child molester. As soon as it came out, everybody was like, yeah, we knew that, right? So look at it, look, flags. Hey, this is a religion for all people. We don't care what colour you are, even though the Catholic Church enslaved black people. Throw it away.
The one we're sitting on?
No, the brown table here. Do you like pina colada? Do you like that song?
Yeah.
So, you know, you see how sexy she is. Now, here's the bizarre thing. So, we've got violence and a sexy woman. So, if you look at colonization as well, often sex and rape is fused together. And if you look at most superhero movies, or women in superhero movies, you see a lot of women who are sexy and there is an implicit domination. So Christians, they're all the same. They think they're different. How can you have 3,500 different denominations or different types of Christian religion when all there really is to follow is 10 commandments and...
Is it alright if I think about it?
You think about whatever
And
you want to think about, pal. You can think about it if you like. No, you're not allowed to think about it. You keep asking me for it. You keep asking me for permission. Don't ask.
Ready.
Oops. The whole system is absolutely corrupt and based on theft, lies, murder, slavery, rape, paedophilia, and capitalism. Because they get donations that are tax free, right? Thieving Morris. Apparently Morrison's just been caught with Christian Porter. Oops. Christian Porter. Being club. Okay. I'm getting shitloads done. My office is almost done. Where's tyranny? Sometimes this guy writes stuff, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. The palatial rose devours and climbs to the peak of the saint. With thick claws it fastens time to the weirdest being, to the wearied being. It swells and blows in the hard veins. It ties the pulmonary cord, then lengthily it listens and breathes. I wish to die, I want to live. Tall, infinite dog. Thick ocean movement with an old and black surface. For whom and to whom the shadow does my gradual guitar resound, being born in the salt of my being. Like the fish in the salt of the sea, ah, what a continuous closed country, neutral in the zone of fire, motionless in the terrible steam, dry in the moistness of things. Then between my legs, beneath the root of my eyes, my soul pursues its sowing, its terrifying needle at work. I survive in the midst of the sea, alone and so crazily wounded, so solely persisting, wounded, abandoned.
No.
Oh man. Really annoying. So, to brainwash kids, we had these guys that was really cool. called The Goodies in England. And they created a song called The Funky Gibbon.
It's recording. Yeah.
What were you talking about?
Anything, man.
You talk.
No.
Yeah, you're the one that's always scared of cameras.
I am.
And people.
And people.
And
Yeah.
crowds.
And crowds.
There you go, you can practice
Yeah.
being afraid but doing it anyway.
Yeah. There you go. So what do you want to know?
Share with me why you chose girls that are not good for you. Oh. 5 or 6. And it's a stupid song and it's retarded humour, but it was a lot of fun. That are not good for you.
Oh, no, yeah, that's true. That's a good question. I guess there's a more sense of level of confidence, I guess. You know, like with high status people or people better than you, there's always a level of insecurity in a way. A girlfriend before, she was French-Polish, and she was very much top shelf.
What do you mean top shelf?
She was very successful, very well off, extremely attractive.
So what's your measure of success?
She learnt, I think it was about 12 languages fluently. I think 8 of those she could read and write as well pretty fluently. She was a corporate translator. She wanted to work in the UN. She seemed very self-driven. But it was mainly because of that, her knowledge and world.
Say that the guys that were travelling in England who claimed to be the drifters weren't actually the drifters. So we all went to see a bunch of guys that weren't the drifters. This is 1980s music. Maxi Laser, check it out. Got the Eurythmics on, Lionel Richie. I don't even know whose this is. I don't know where it came from. Mega City 4, I think I got it because the art looks so dark and grimacing. And the guy kind of looked like me. A bit scary. Try mine. I don't know what to do. You asked me to...
Yeah.
Can I stop?
Her work back force. She wanted to be a translator in the UN, hence why she spoke so well. Just financially was really well off. She earned a lot of money. Was very smart with money and generous as well for the right reasons. And she was a little bit older than I am, so there was always that behind her.
How much older?
Like 11 years. But she never made a big deal about it. She never said anything. I guess that sort of translates like this. It's hard to balance out, sort of thing, regardless what you think about yourself with other people, emotions. So,
But you could say
yeah.
that no matter who you're with,
Yeah.
who you are about yourself is
Yeah.
on below other people,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So even if she wasn't that,
Yeah.
you may have found other reasons for why she would be above you because you're Jackson. I don't know what's in those, where they came from. Bad. I think my mum bought this for me for my birthday. It's a pretty shit album actually when I look at it. I only really liked Another Part of Me and the beginning of Dirty Diana and Smooth Criminal. The rest I thought was kind of terrible, but a lot of people like it.
Ready?
And then Cabaret. I don't know where the fuck this came from, but I remember watching the movie, and of course it's all about shagging and hedonism and where Germany went was depraved sex and sexuality, and fucking and orgies. So the Third Reich had a lot of orgies and booze and drugs. And Cabaret is a great movie. The chick that played it, what was her name? I can't even remember her name. Liza Minnelli. She ended up, after that, she went severe alcoholic. But the movie is absolutely brilliant. There's a lot of love, a lot of time, brilliant songs in it. Truth be told, I want to get rid of them. Or opinion of you.
Yeah, that's true as well. I thought about that. Yeah.
Because it doesn't, her being above you doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
There's no objective, she's above me.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of measures
Yeah.
and standards that are all made up.
Yeah.
And then you've got an opinion about, I'm not as good as her, she's better than me. She speaks however many languages, she's great with money, she's hot, blah, 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 blah. But really that has nothing to do with her, that has more to do with...
Yeah.
So what's the issue that's driving
I
you?
think a lot of it was like an opportunity to date somebody like that rather than...
Huh?
I think it was more the opportunity to date somebody like that than anything else. But
what's driving, what I want to know is what's driving your opinion of yourself?
I think with her specifically it was like, I can be like her sort of thing one day. She's done it before.
Nah.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Because we've got, like, if our luggage, right, is made up.
Yeah.
It's based, something happened, then we have a perception on what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah? But the perception of what happened wasn't what happened.
Yeah.
So what would have, it wouldn't matter who you were with.
Yeah. I think it's just years of doing nothing, then finally getting around doing something. Of myself in life as well.
But that's not what drives your
yeah, and I think
perception of yourself.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's like with the other women, they will, for whatever reason, whatever their journey is, it's more like, Darcy's doing this and he's different from all these other guys. That makes sense. So that's a bit of a high, whatever.
A hide.
Yeah, a high. Sorry.
A hide.
Yeah.
But it keeps in place the same low self-esteem, right?
It's like, finally somebody sees what I'm doing as well. And I think for them, they don't know how to handle guys that are outside their normal time, which is unhealthy, broken guys. That makes sense.
Do you think they perceive you as unhealthy and broken?
No, they don't. And I think that.
But you do.
Not as much. Like my perception's improved. My self-perception's improved.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, I think.
I'm confronting, right?
Yeah.
No, it hasn't.
I think self-acceptance for where I am now, but the ability to know that I can improve throughout.
But what are you accepting? That's the
whatever.
thing, right?
Yeah.
You're saying my self-acceptance has improved, but what I'm saying to you is, no, you've got an opinion about who you are, or what you are, and then you've got an evidence for that you are that way.
Yeah.
I'm saying all of that's made up.
Yeah, probably.
But you're maintaining it.
Yeah.
So when you get into relationships with these women, guess what's completely present for you?
Yeah.
All your luggage.
Yeah.
So you've maintained your system.
Yeah.
That is, whatever terrible things that you think of yourself. And then when you're in these relationships, you say, well, I get a high because I'm different from the guys that they used to date. But what you've done is you've brought into existence your luggage.
Yeah.
Because you've got a comparison.
Yeah.
They're higher than me, I'm lower.
Yeah.
I accept myself, whatever that self is that you think you're accepting, which I'm saying is your perceptions, your luggage, right, that you think is real, that defines Darcy. What I'm saying is, by dating those women, doesn't matter who you date, doesn't matter if they're fucking on heroin, meth, alcohol, whatever, you'll still have something about Darcy. What I'm interested in knowing is, what is the perception that Darcy has of himself that drives the perceptions of other women that maintains or keeps in place your own luggage?
I think it's a lot of experience between me and other people.
What's the experience?
Yeah. I think a lot of it too is bad timing. So a lot of them is they're self-recognizing themselves, and maybe not immediately, but soon after, I've somehow entered the picture. In their
But we're not talking
early-
about them. We're talking about your perception of them.
Yeah.
Your perception
It's
of
just
them.
what they tell me and all that as well.
Yeah, but what they're telling you, you hear through a particular
Yeah.
lens.
Yeah.
That lens is how Darcy compares to these people, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Like
So what I want to know,
Yeah.
it's hard talking to
Yeah.
me, right? What I want to know,
Yeah.
here, I'll give you an
Yeah.
example of me, right? I think I'm a loser,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think I'm a loser, and with my, and how that has expressed itself is through drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And being irresponsible and hookers, right? That's what has my not only am I a loser, I'm dumb,
Yeah.
right? So I'm dumb, I'm immature, I can't get my shit together. These are the things that are going on in my head about Andre.
Yeah.
Now then, if I look at my wife,
Yeah.
right, I'm like, in my perspective, it's similar. She had a really healthy upbringing. She was brilliant at school, A grade. She was brilliant at university, high distinction. She has generated a couple of careers. She's brilliant with our son. And she is what I would say is a healthy young woman or middle-aged woman in her 30s that is getting on with life. She's very sensible, and she must look at me like, what the fuck am I with this guy for? That's how I perceive it. Right? I'm stuck with him because we have a kid. Right? So what's driving all of my bullshit, all of my opinions, which don't exist, have me think, well, I'm not as good as her. Now, where that came from was being beaten as a child or made fun of. And since then, a 6-year-old is driving the conversation. I'm 46. So that shit that happened 40 years ago is driving the conversation.
46?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, 46. Am I 46 or 47?
I thought you were much younger.
No.
I think you're like middle or late to late 30s or something.
No. Probably would have looked better if I had never had drugs.
Yeah.
So, what I want to know is, what is the bullshit that's driving you that you think
Yeah.
is real?
I think a lot of it's like just growing up as a drug addict sort of thing and finally switching that around.
But what had you go into drugs?
Just boredom, nothing else. Yeah. Just
So
freedom.
if you-
a lot of freedom as a kid.
So let me say it this way. If, right, you knew that drugs were bad, right?
Yeah.
Like I knew drugs were
And I
bad.
think it's a lot of it's like I missed out of developing properly. Then early on rather than later on in my life. I used to do it in my 20s, like getting my shit together in my 20s rather than in my, like later on, like in my 50s and stuff. I think that gave me like a drastic switch around.
But what I'm interested is, right, so, but what's driving
I think a lot of it now still have that similar feelings as back when, like 10 years ago rather than applying it to it now.
What do you mean that?
It like this I'm still that, do you know what I mean?
Still what?
Like a drug addict. From what I had back 10 years ago, I'm still having that feeling now.
Yeah.
And then rather than having gone, okay, this is what's happening for me now.
So what's driving your esteem
Yeah.
or your opinion of yourself is a past-based conversation regarding being a drug addict.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, so now who you are, so who are you about Darcy?
But now,
Yeah.
I'm just doing movies.
No. You just said that what's been driving my, what I think you
I
said.
think a lot of it's like making up for lost time.
No, but what I'm asking you is, what is the opinion that you have of Darcy now?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Better, healthier, imperfect, but working on it. Slowly, gradually.
So you're a work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress.
Right? So what are you progressing from and to?
I'd say just doing nothing and being so, like a drug addiction, normality.
What do you think about drug addicts?
Good and bad people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, put good and bad aside, but what do you think of somebody, what's your opinion?
Now?
Yeah.
Just I feel sorry for them rather than some get at the bottom of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be right.
Yeah.
Bottom of the barrel. What else? Are they intelligent or dumb?
A bit of both.
So the choices that they made were dumb.
Yeah. They're people who have the ability to be intelligent, but instead of opting for that, they've gone for more what they know, which is self-destruction. That makes sense.
And what do you think about people that are into self-destruction?
People with low self-esteem and very insecurity.
And what? So your opinion is that they're insecure. What else?
Yeah. Or maybe they're avoiding traumas or pain, or from the external side.
So, and if they're avoiding traumas and pain, what does that mean about them?
Something bad has happened to them.
But if they're avoiding the trauma, why are they avoiding it?
Because they don't have the emotional, or they don't have the emotional ability or life skills to work on it and go through it. Or they do, or they at least know where to go get it, but
They're avoiding it.
Yeah.
And why are they avoiding it?
It's personalised reasons for that.
And for you, what is it?
It was just not knowing how to go. So
Well,
not knowing where to go at the time.
Yeah, and now, what do you think about people that are not taking action in alignment with getting their shit together?
I feel bad. Sometimes I don't know why, and sometimes they've got genuine reasons maybe, or just people just don't want to do it.
Do you think genuine reasons are genuine reasons for taking drugs is a good reason for taking drugs?
No.
So
But
then,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
so then, genuine reasons doesn't mean anything,
Yeah.
right? So if people take what I'm interested in, like I think idiocy is something I'm used to.
Yeah.
An outright pleasure, touching the flesh of poetry, shaping curved beauty, a natural placement to ponder over, as a young man thought of. But my first ever fight was when I was 16. I wrote my first poem then too. Whenever I am with her, a refreshed jealousy from my peers arises. Deep thoughts of poetry and dark expressions of colonial rule. Ravens is what I think of. Making that raveny sound like an Edgar Allan Poe